Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the way that the Magdalene legend has grown up.
What my work with the Magdalene started in 1982. I was waiting to get the first English translation of the so-called Nag Hammadi scriptures, found in 1945 in Egypt.
I was going to say they're Egyptian.
Yeah, it's the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Truth, and so forth. All those Gospels who didn't make it to the New Testament.
All were cut out and thrown away.
Yeah. But anyway, they were found in 1945, and when I got that book, I started reading it from cover to cover, and when I came to the Gospel of Philip, suddenly I stopped at this sentence. Mary the Magdalene was the disciple that Jesus loved the most and often kissed on the. And then there was 2 brackets, because every time there was a hole in the manuscript where they couldn't read what it was, they just put in brackets, So coming down from the shock that Jesus was kissing a woman often in public, I wanted to know on what part of the body he had kissed the Magdalene on.
Yes, I can see the smile on your face when you said that.
And then I found out in some Jewish script of Josephus, a Jewish historian at the time of Jesus.
Yes, he was.
Who in one of his books wrote about the customs of the time, that married people didn't go around in public kissing each other. That was something for the initiated.
Indeed, yes.
That was a way they recognized each other, and they revered each other, kissing on the mouth. And we remember the kiss of Judas. He could have pointed Jesus out to the Romans, said, he's over there. No, he had to go and kiss him, or else Jesus would have been
anybody.
Jesus would have been thought that was, why don't he come? Because Judas was also an initiated. But anyway, so this was the start for me to really, I needed to find out what the Magdalene was all about. So I collected everything from the scriptures, both the New Testament and the Nag Hammadi scriptures.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and also the Jewish scriptures, and everything I could find about the Mary Magdalene. And for years I studied this. And of course, when you are studying a thing for so many years, as I did about Magdalene, long before anybody was interested in the Magdalene, then you open up to the so-called Akashic records, or the Book of Life, and you get information that I could check out. Also, could this be possible? I had to check it out, because every time you are so-called something, I don't like to call it channeling something, that channeling take color of who you are personally, all the noise that you are carrying around. So you have to be very careful about the information and check it out. So I checked it out, and I found out that she was an initiated one, and the Magdalene, Magdal really means the exalted one.
Yes.
And this was her initiation name. Like Jesus was not from Nazareth. Nazareth didn't exist at the time of Jesus. He was Yeshua the Nazarene, which means the initiated one, the one set aside for a higher purpose. So the 2 of them, because you can read that she was the one who anointed him.
Yes.
And you cannot, if you follow the Jewish customs, you are not allowed to anoint somebody that you are not aligned with.
Yes,
you have to be completely at the same level, or else it wouldn't. You could not do it.
No, you couldn't do it.
So she had to be an initiated one. So next thing was, I tried to find out where could she have been initiated, and the only place that could have been was by the therapist in Alexandria, in Egypt.
Right.
There, the therapist is being described completely by Philon.
Oh yes.
The Jewish philosopher from Alexandria. And that was a place where Jewish women could go on equal footing with men to have an education.
And for enlightenment.
Yeah. And they become prophets, and they became healers, and they knew everything. I mean, really, really, they were doctors in the holistic way of the word.
Yes.
And with people, they needed to have help on one way or the other, they went to the therapist. They were very respected. So that was where she was educated. And when she was finished there, she joined him when he started his mission. He was educated by the Essenes, and his last initiation was being baptized by John in the Jordan River. Then he went to the university at Qumran by the Dead Sea, which is only a few hours walk from there.
It's not far.
And he went, you can read it in New Testament, he went into the 40 days in the desert in a cave there, and that was the last initiation. And after that, he went on his mission, the 3-year-long mission, and she was part of it. She was the teacher of the women disciples, and he was of the men.
Yeah.
And this is something from the minute that Jesus, after he was crucified, and Mary the Magdalene went out, and you can read in the Gospel of Mary that she says, "I saw my beloved in a vision." It was not in the flesh, but in a vision.
Yes.
And she comes back to the other disciples and say, "Listen, I have good tidings because I have seen the Master."
Yes.
In a vision. And Simon Peter is about to strangle her because he cannot take her. That is obvious when you read all the scriptures.
There is some jealousy.
Oh, he cannot take it because he sees himself as the right hand of Jesus, as the master of the world,
Yes, yes.
And in a heresy, in a church, and that is why Jesus at one point said, "Stay behind Satan," he says to Simon Peter.
He does.
And you will be the cornerstone of the church. And that's exactly the church of Peter in St. Peter in Rome.
Yes.
So from that moment on, you don't hear anything more about Mary the Magdalene. And from that moment on, when she came to Jerusalem and told the other disciples about seeing the Master rising, you hear nothing about it. And they started a character murder on her that lasted for 300 years, making her from a moon priestess, initiated moon priestess, they turned her into a simple whore in order to get rid of her, because the female principle could not be. And the reason why Yeshua was crucified was because he was sharing secrets from the mystery school to all people.
Yes, he was.
And he was doing it in equality with the woman, and that was more than the priests could take.
That was one of the fundamentals.
And that was why he ended on the cross.
One of the fundamentals of sharing with women.
Everything else was invented,
Yeah.
But her, as we were talking about the Cathars before, that was part of that tradition who went underground and survived into France much later. And maybe she went to France, maybe not. She possibly did, maybe she didn't, but her tradition did. Because it had to survive somewhere.
It needed to go somewhere, yes.
Yes. So if she was going to France, what I believe, she would probably have gone to Perpignan and not to Marseille, as the story goes, because the Herod, he had wine fields right from Marseille and all the way down to Girona in Spain.
Did he really?
Yes. And there was a huge Jewish population living in that area, so she could go there and speak the language. You remember, at the same time as the Cathars, that's the first time also you hear from Girona, first time you hear anything about the Kabbalah.
That's right.
And you hear about also from the same area stems the legend of the Grail. And this is all, the Cathar, the Grail, and the Kabbalah is all coming out from the same movement.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So Mary the Magdalene, she probably went there, and there was I found a plateau there that existed, and there had been a kind of monastery-like society or something for Jewish women,
right.
and she would, of course, she would go there. But when she died, or just before she died, she went back. If she died in France, she was taken back to where she came from,
yes.
and buried together with her husband Jeshua, because the wedding in Canaan was the wedding of those two people, of course.
Yes.
But the wedding and the children they had was not the big thing, because
no.
I mean, so many people are married and having children. This is no big thing in itself. The main thing about them is their message. Yes. And the message they are talking about is the groom and the bride merging in the bridal chamber. Not only on but within us.
Yes.
Each one of us. This is the main thing, that the masculine and the feminine within each of us has to merge.
To join.
Yes, that's the thing.
And that is very revolutionary, apparently, to some people.
Yes, it is.
It seems to make a lot of sense, Lars.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think, can you do this? This is heretical.
Yeah, one of the things I'm sharing in the Gate of Light is actually a healing, an old Essene healing method that involves the merging of the masculine and the feminine.
Yes.
But you can read all about it there.
Yeah, well, and The Gate of Light is a fabulous book, I have to say. But
thanks.
Thank you for...
That was the short version.
Outlining. I know you have a longer version, and you have a book about it, don't you?
Yeah. It's part of the O manuscript.
Well, the O manuscript being, I think, 3 books.
Yeah, the Seer, the Magdalene, the Grail.
Right, and they're already published, and they're out there, and you can
they
find
are
them.
Published all over the world. In Russian, in Korean.
He's a little bit modest here, only all over the world.
No. It's just that.
I think I'm teasing him.
It's because I know, but it's not to be pompous, It's just that I think it's because the main thing I say this is that before the seer left this world, he said to me, "Don't worry, Lars, because this book will be out all over the world." And of course he had.
And now it is.